Hello. So, I was doing some meditating yesterday and I woke up in the morning, as I do when I meditate before I go to bed or get myself in the right mind frame. I usually wake up with some sort of inspiration, what I've called divine inspiration. But something just kept talking to me this morning, and it was like, "Hey, Will, Doctrine versus Dogma. Check it out. Do some research, Will. Doctrine versus Dogma." So I after the last video, I was kind of contemplating about it, and I was like, man, I didn't want to do a channel like this. I don't want to put stuff out. I didn't really want to put my face on it. um, I don't feel like I'm very good at public speaking. So, but with uh with the other music stuff, it's taken me a little bit longer to build that channel. So so I got to start somewhere. So anyways, Doctrine versus Dogma. I'm going to read something that I found. um, Doctrine in scripture is instruction for alignment. Dogma is what happens when humans replace alignment with control. So you get to it's really hard for me to do these videos, honestly, that are pre-recorded, um, because it takes time. And when you're inspired, you're in spirit. Okay, people that make really good music, they're in spirit. That's why it resonates with people. It's good. They're in the vibe, right? That's the same thing when we say words, right? Like these videos that I want to do, I want to speak from spirit. And right now, I'm trying to, but that's the problem. I am trying to, from the ego of me, my, I, right? And when it comes from spirit, it comes through. Just a side note. But so Dogma. I've experienced a lot. I'm American. I was raised in America, and so I think a big part of America to me personally was Western Christianity. Um, I hope nobody takes this offensively, but I take it offensively um, when I go to learn some universal truths to these different churches and go there and just try to get some inspiration. And I hear a lot of, oh, you shouldn't go to that church because they believe this, and you shouldn't go to this church because they believe that. Oh, and you don't go talk to them because they believe that. Listen, We're all brothers and sisters of the human race, and every one of our perspectives is different. What I know to be universal truth is only a fragment of what my brother-in-law would call the tapestry, right? Everybody has a different perspective in this tapestry, this science experiment that is the human experience. And just because I have had some supernatural experiences, that's what makes the universal truth that's beyond my perspective, but it makes it true for me because interpersonal. I developed that. I've developed that relationship. Um, and Eastern religion says, the 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 path to enlightenment and the fool's path is, I mean, it's really close to the same, if not the same path. Because when it comes from you and your ego, it's the fool's path. It's, you know, you're going to be blessed with ignorance. But when you let whatever you want to call it, whatever you identify it as in your perspective, when you let that work through you, well, that's enlightenment, you know? Enlightenment, in my personal belief, is not attainable. It's a path you have to walk. And anytime you fall off of that path with the me, my, I, you go to the fool's path. So what I've learned is that paradox is created by the human perspective, because the truth, the reality, is so far beyond human understanding. Because the way that we understand things, we got to differentiate things, right? You know, if we call air soft, right? The air, it's super soft, right? Then we could have a towel or a pillow and we could say that's hard. Well, but that's hard compared to a brick? No, the brick is hard compared to the pillow. See, it's perspective and context. And that's only part of it. It's only one small perspective coming from me, which is completely incorrect. Again, the paradox. Anyways, I got off track. Dogma and doctrine. Okay. So unfortunately, what I see with a lot of, I think there's a strong push. I've seen it a lot. And I guess whatever you tune into, you're going to notice more. But um, organized religion tends to point fingers one way or the other. And, I'd really, if you're a member of organized religion, then good. I mean, clearly you feel something there. You're getting something divine and something inspirational from that. That's awesome. I don't think that that's a problem. But just don't be so quick to judge somebody else from their path. because in your doctrine, what you believe in, I'm sure it teaches you not to do that. We just don't need to be that subjective, and that's what it seems like. I mean, I could go into. I got a lot of stuff that I could read from this information that I pulled up on Doctrine versus Dogma. I mean, there's a lot, but it just seems like it really boils down to not doing what the human experience causes us to do, like the traps that we fall into by projecting our ideas on somebody else, or you know forcing our ideas down their throat. Or you know judging people and not giving people the benefit of the doubt. you know I mean, we're all judgmental. I'm judgmental, right? And the reason I say that is I have an opinion, don't you? Of course, right? What do we got to have? We got to have judgment, right? So we're all judgmental, right? Yeah. Okay. It's you can't say like, I know that we in society we say, oh, being we think maybe that judgment, or oh, I don't want to be judgmental. And it's like, we all are. We have our opinions. But it's important, I think, to be mindful about that, so that we don't fall into the superficial trap, which will lead to us oppressing ourselves instead of projecting and making up a boogeyman that's trying to oppress us. When we all look within ourselves and we take personal accountability of the different ways that we oppress ourselves, we'll figure out that when it boils down to it, we do a lot of stuff to oppress ourselves. I gotta go.